with Rebirth and Thunderbolt here, it's like you're trying to prevent the inevitable. Because you know that if you start to put yourself out there, even if this isn't something that is like conscious, it's more subconscious. You know that if you put yourself out there and you start to interact with people, start to interact with other people's work, that you yourself and your work is going to have to be perceived. And that is going to leave room for people to have an opinion, right? And what I want to say about that is number one, somebody's always going to have an opinion, but that is part of your rebirth.
And your cousin too. Walking down the strip on gold. Coming up, slamming Cadillac doors. Me and you, your mama and your cousin too.
Here, welcome to Creative Divinations, where I divine for the creative in you. I am Becca. Thank you so much for being here. Water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Let's get into this reading, shall we? We started this reading over on TikTok, which I will pin below in the description box so you can go check that out. But the card that we got for the month of March 2025 as an overlying energy is inner peace, okay? And it reads, you are letting outside circumstances create turmoil and frustration within you. Remember, you always have the power to choose your response. Let inner peace attract a higher vibrational outcome for you, okay? And when we left off on the TikTok short, we were talking about how we may not be able as creatives to control all of the outside external blah 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 stuff that people like to do to us as creatives, but what we can control is our reaction to it, okay? And controlling your reaction is far more peaceful than people assume and people think. And the collective divination that I did for all signs, which you can go and check out. Okay, I will put it up here somewhere. I was talking about creating sacred spaces for ourselves. And the reason that I feel like it's important for us to create sacred spaces, especially as creatives, is because we can take that sacred space anywhere we go. Somebody got something to say about something you created up. I don't care. Go into my sacred space. You feel me? Somebody has an opinion on something you created up. I don't care. Going into my sacred space. You always have that sacred space to ground you. And bottom of the deck, we have wisdom. I misspoke in the TikTok that I did, and I said enabling, which okay. Wisdom. You have been here before and you know what to do, yet you fear disappointing others. The wise choice may not be the popular choice, but choose for the highest good in this situation. So again, this is something that you may have encountered before, something that you may have to go through and grow through before. But the point is, you've been here before, right? And you may not know how whatever circumstances that you are navigating are going to turn out. But what you do know is that you can choose your response to these things. Amen. Amen. Okay. So we are going to get a card or two or three or however many spirit wants to get, because y'all know how they get, from the prototype for my deck, for the upper deck, and see what spirit has to say about this inner peace. What I tell you, I said I asked for one and got quite a few. Let me see which ones I think are relevant. Okay, we'll do those four. Alright. So the cards that we got out of the upper deck are Marceline, which is legacy, reflection, and presence. We have Church Fan, which is devotion, cooling, cool your head. Okay. We have Porch Light. If y'all hear Becca playing in the background, I'm so sorry. Porch Light, we have Illumination, Truth, and Home. The Porch Light levels when it's hidden, let home guide you through the darkness. Lastly but not leastly, we have the Sticks. Them sticks, and it says unity building, strong foundations, strength, and numbers. Becca Elijah, Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Because he was not trying to play nothing before I turned his camera on. He was asleep. Becca, get a cat, they say. Alright, so these cards coming out along with the other two that we just talked about, it's giving. Let's start with the sticks. Let's start with unity building, strong foundation, and strength in numbers. You should not have to convince people of anything, water signs, okay? And maybe in the month of March, that's what you need to keep up here. The people who are going to gravitate towards you, the people that are going to be your community, the people that are going to understand and see your vision, they won't need to be convinced. And it's important, I think, for us as creatives to create community, to create unity, because there is strength in numbers. There are so many things that I don't feel like one or two creatives would be able to do that took a mass number of creatives to come together and pull off, right? Um, Even something as simple as getting the word out about each other's perspective arts and things of that nature. Unity building is important. Um, and I feel like maybe in the month of March, there's going to be some reflection around that with this Marceline card. If you know anything about Marceline from my book Foolish, she is very, how can I describe Marceline? Marceline is very, there's a word that's on the tip of my tongue. Um Intentional, I guess you could say. It's another word. I can't think of it right now. But she's very intentional and she's very reflective. A lot of times when you see the conversations or hear the conversations between Soul, who's the main character, and Marceline, Marceline is reflecting out loud, right? And especially the legacy part, because she is legacy when it comes to the Dupree family. And I just feel like in the month of March, maybe some of you are doing some reflecting on what you want your legacy to look like and what your presence currently looks like right now as it pertains to your creativity. Um, I do want to say, because I believe, I think it's the first half of March, we are going into Mercury retrograde in Aries. So I would suggest that you cool your head with this church fan card. Keep your head cool. Take some white baths, things of that nature. Because in order for you to do the reflecting that you need to do around who you show up as in these creative spaces, in these creative communities, and things of that nature, um, you're gonna have a cool head. Why? Because I feel like y'all are about to be shown some things in March. Some things are going to be illuminated for you. It's giving what is that, Motel 6 we left the light on, right? Like it's giving like you being put on notice and being made aware of things that may be hidden, right? Things that may be hidden in your subconscious, things that you may be subconsciously fearful of as it pertains to your legacy, as it pertains to your presence, as it pertains to community. But I need you to do all of this with a cool head, okay? So let's get some, yeah, this is the tarot deck. Some tarot from the Osho Zen Tarot deck. Spirit, what is the message for my water signs, Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio for the month of March? Yeah, y'all have been very cerebral. We have the schizophrenia card here with understanding that also came out alongside of it. So some of y'all might be trying to understand your place, understand and maybe take in the opinions and the, what's the word? Not me not knowing words today. And the, ooh, expectations is what I'm hearing of others. Is giving you're trying to make sense of it, right? And maybe in the process of making sense of it, you are not only driving yourself mad, but you're making yourself sad. Okay, the sorrow card flipped on out the deck. It fell on the floor. So I don't. I know not other people making y'all sad. Say sorry. Say sorry, because you could inner peace. What are we doing? And I understand, like, a lot of us creatives be like, oh, we don't create for other people. We create for us. But there are some people who create for other people, right? And so if you're one of those people that create for other people, or even if you're not, and you just, okay, this is making more sense. And you create for you, you share with other people. Let me tell y'all, this is giving me. This whole reading, this is giving me the fear of being perceived. This is what this is giving me. This is making me feel like, and the reason that I say that is because we have a aloneness that came out. Some of y'all may be so afraid or fearful of being perceived that you don't know how to go out and build community. You don't know, or you don't want to know what's hidden, what's out there. You want to stay in your little creative bubble and do your little creative thing. But the truth of the matter is, it's making you quite sad. You feel quite alone. Okay? And it's like you're racking your brain trying to understand what it is that you're doing wrong. Why do people react to you the way that they react to you? Baby, let me close some more cards. Spirit, what is the message? I hate when things that are not normally loud get loud when I'm filming. Like, his little robot do not be this loud, and I know y'all hear that. Like, because my question is, or was, what is March asking of the water signs? Water signs, March is asking you to have courage. That is what March is asking of you, water signs. It's giving, put yourself out there. What was I watching? I was watching a Capricorn reading because y'all know I have, not only am I a Capricorn sun, I have a hella Capricorn placements. And so I was watching one of my favorite creators who all of her content is geared towards Capricorns. And one thing that she was saying about Capricorns is, or for us rather, is that it's time for us to put the thing out there, right? It's time for us to stop holding on to or feeling like we have to safeguard everything that we create. It's time for us to put our creations out there. And I'm going to say the same thing to you. It is time, water signs. You cannot, let me say this. It's great to build community online. And actually, let me rephrase that. It's great to build community wherever it is that you go. But you cannot do that being like this. Whether that's online, whether that's IRL, like you're never going to build community doing one of these, right? That's something that I had to learn as well. Like, I used to get so frustrated, like, oh my God, why is people not seeing my stuff, or why they're not interacting with my content and this, that, and the third. Well, whole time I wasn't really interacting with nobody else's content either. So nobody knew who I was. It wasn't until I started to put myself out there where I started to, no matter how cringy it feels, let's take TikTok for instance. Again, y'all know how I feel and what I say about TikTok. Like, I didn't really plan on growing on TikTok. That's not how that happened. As it stands, my largest follower base is on TikTok. And it's almost like I looked up one day and I had 4,000 some odd followers, and I was like, oh my God, where did all y'all come from? And I had to remember that I was in folks' comments. Okay, I was interacting. I was having conversations. And so now when people ask me, like, what is one of the things you do to grow your account? I always say I'm interacting with people. Water signs, you have to interact with other people. You have to interact with other people's work. You have to be able to be a part of the community that you're wanting to build, right? And March is asking you to have the courage to do that. The next two cards that we have out are Rebirth and Thunderbolt in the reverse. And Thunderbolt in this deck is the Tower card. Okay, this is making me feel like, look, I hate when I have to lose eyelashes because I barely got any as it stands at the moment. Lord Jesus. Okay. With Rebirth and Thunderbolt here, it's like you're trying to prevent the inevitable. Because you know that if you start to put yourself out there, even if this isn't something that is like conscious, it's more subconscious. You know that if you put yourself out there and you start to interact with people, start to interact with other people's work, that you yourself and your work is going to have to be perceived. And that is going to leave room for people to have an opinion, right? And what I want to say about that is number one, somebody's always going to have an opinion, but that is part of your rebirth. That is part of your transformation. That is part of you becoming a different type of creative. One of the videos that I'm working on right now is about urban fiction writers, our OG urban fiction writers, and how they have basically pretty much refused to evolve, excuse me, with their audience, right? And it's causing them to lose their audience and their fan base at rapid rates. Let's think about Omar Tyree. Let's think about Sister Soldier. These are just two examples of writers who have dawned a new era of writing and created basically a whole new genre and got so comfortable within that there was no growth, right? And it really, their careers are suffering for it, right? That is the same thing. Like, you have to get to a point where as a creative you have to be able to evolve, you have to be able to grow, and part of that is being uncomfortable. And that's why I spoke so passionately about creating sacred spaces in the general div that I did for March. Because if you create that sacred space within yourself, what somebody else thinks or their perception of you is not going to sting as hard. Right now, we humans, we going to feel it a little bit like, damn, that's what you really think. But like in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop you from creating. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, when we speak about community, I've had horrible experiences within communities of all sorts, but that didn't stop. Well, it stopped me for a while. I'm not gonna lie, especially in the spiritual community. But it didn't all the way stop me from putting myself back out there, and I'm glad that I did because now I have found my people. I have solid people around me, and I am in community with solid people. Right, so it's just like you have to get out of this mental thing, this mental back and forth that you're doing about it. It's like it's over. It feels like you're overthinking it. It feels like you're overthinking it. Ooh, okay. See, I can't make this up. We have breakthrough and change. The change and the breakthrough are going to happen regardless of whether you wanted to. Why? Because you're too talented. Because you're too creative to be kept hidden behind closed doors. That's great that you want to create for you if that's what you are truly wanting to do. But I just feel like if you wanted to just create for you, there would be no need for you to be shared online because you're just doing it for you, right? So, in my assumption, and please correct me if I'm wrong, in my assumption, if you are creating things and putting them online or going to, I don't know, art shows or open mics or whatever it is that you're doing, you want other people, you're sharing it, you want to share it. So, if you want to share it, get uncomfortable and get used to being perceived. Some of y'all are asking for these big breakthroughs and for people to finally notice your work and to notice your creativity, and now that is knocking on the door. You like, oh, hold on, wait, I'm in my robe, child. Mm-mm. Let me throw something comfortable on. No, baby, we ain't got time for that. Open the door because it's going to open regardless. This is your legacy that we're talking about. This is your presence in these communities and within your whatever flavor of creativity that you operate under. This is what this is all about. And you're never going to be able to leave the legacy that you want. You're never going to be able to have people feel your presence if you don't let it happen. Not you being scared of what you prayed for. I know you not say sight. Spirit, can I get a couple more cards, please, for my water signs? Any more messages, Spirit? Any more messages? Some of y'all, I feel like you think you're too intense. You have the intensity card out. You feel like you're too intense for other people. You feel like, and maybe that's it. You feel like you're so intense that other people may not understand where you're coming from, right? Or they may not understand the value of what it is that you create, right? Spirit, can you give me a couple more cards, please? Thanks. I can't make this up. I can't make this up. I can't make it up. Okay. The cards that came out, we have Creator. Okay. We have Guidance. We have Ordinariness. We're just ordinary people. We have Sharing. We're gonna pretend like that didn't happen. And we have Maturity. Okay. Water signs. Who are listening to this message, okay? Everybody under the sound of my voice. There's nothing ordinary about you, Bookie, but and this is also making me feel like this could be a collective of people who shrink themselves and shrink their creative genius because they don't want to come off too intense to people. They don't want people to be like, girl, you doing too much, or think that you're a little, you feel me? Like, and so you shrink down and you try to blend in and be ordinary, baby. March is asking for you to come up off that. Again, Mercury is going retrograde in Aries. I'm gonna let that sit in your spirit, okay? Um, I'm hearing for some of you that, and this is something that you know the whole curated self movement is built on. For some of you, you are supposed to guide others into growing as creatives. And it may not be through the means of getting here on YouTube and doing how to videos or coaching or something. It may not be that. It may be very well what I do. And I let y'all experience me living as a creative. That's how I teach. I teach by y'all watching me do what I do and giving you little gems and tidbits along the way. I don't sit here and be like, we're gonna talk about that. Like that's boring to me. So I'd rather let you see me live my life and ask me questions and then we can chop it up and talk about it, right? That's how I create my content. That's what I'm getting for some of you guys. For some of y'all are supposed to allow yourselves to be seen so that other people who are coming behind you, who are maturing behind you, who are growing in their creativity and their art that are coming behind you will have something to go off of. That is what your legacy for some of y'all is all about. Is creating something where it's like, okay, so and so did that. So if they did it given their situation, if they did it given the things that they had to go through to get there, if it's in alignment with what I'm supposed to be doing, then I can do it too. Heavy on the if it's in alignment with what I'm supposed to be doing, right? And so it makes me think of, I can't remember who said it. I know I talked about it on a video a while back on my main channel, but you shrinking yourself and hiding yourself and not wanting to be seen could be blocking somebody else's blessing. And I know y'all don't want to be blessing blockers. I know you don't. I know you don't. So put yourself out there, right? Let's get a remedy affirmation card so y'all can take an affirmation with y'all through your week and meditate on it and all of the things, okay? The two cards that came out, you have write a list of things that you always wanted to do. Don't hold back. Don't let it go, don't hold. Girl. And we have abundance, okay? Abundance says take a moment to notice the energy flowing in your body. Then take it a bit further and notice the energy that is surrounding you. How far does it reach? The world is full of infinite possibilities. Your gifts, manifestations, opportunities, and blessings are constantly renewing. Rebirth. There's no need to stifle your dreams or bleh. There is no need to stifle your dreams with its inaction, Lord, or pessimism. Create a mindset overflowing with abundance. Access the fact that everything you need is around and inside of you. It is a matter of materializing it. The practice of taking what you want slash deserve does not take away from anyone else's abundance. There's more where that came from. Abundance is yours. Act like it. The affirmation of this card is abundance is all around me and I will bask in it. There's something that was said in this card that was like, oop, light bulb. Um, access the fact that everything that you need is around and inside of you. It's a matter of materializing it. Da, 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 da. The practice of taking what you want and deserve does not take away from anybody else's abundance. And maybe that's another reason, water signs, where you feel the need to kind of play the background and shrink yourself and not want to be perceived and all these things because you don't want people to feel like, oh, she trying to be better than, she trying to act like she better than everybody or whatever the situation is. That's a them problem. That's a them problem. I need you to create the inner peace and cultivate the inner peace in the sacred space to know that that is a problem that ain't got a damn thing to do with you. That's a them thing, okay? Letting outside circumstances create turmoil and frustration within you. That's like me giving somebody the poison and or me drinking the poison and expecting someone else to. It doesn't work like that, okay? I hope that this message sits down in your shana na throughout the month of March. Come back and watch as many times as you need to. I love you guys. I hope you guys have an amazing March. Be great. Get bread. Stay all the way live. With everything being intentional, have the March you conjure. If you would like to book with me, hit the description down below. Peace.